I'm Katherine Murphy from the Kittitas County League of Women Voters. And thank you for joining us today on a session about what is the Kittitas County Conservation District, what do they do, and why are they having an election in February? So we're here today with the district manager of the Kittitas County Conservation District, Anna Lael. She's going to answer those questions. And the reason I'm here is that this organization helped my husband and I a lot with a project on our land. Anna, I'm so glad to welcome you today.
Great, good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. Again, I'm Anna Lael. I'm the district manager for the Kittitas County Conservation District. And I am going to share my PowerPoint slide deck that will talk about who the Conservation District is, what we do, and how our elections are conducted. Conservation districts, I'm going to kind of give the big picture long-term history of conservation districts, and I provided a couple of links that I think will be available along with this presentation if folks want to do a deeper dive into the history of conservation districts. But we are a direct result of the national movement to address soil erosion that came out of the Dust Bowl era. There had been work underway in the federal government to try to address soil erosion. There was a new federal agency, the Soil Erosion Service, that was initiated, and it became the Soil Conservation Service. And they set up demonstration projects all across the country to try to address soil erosion and working with farmers, with agricultural producers. And we actually had one here in our county. It was the Badger Pocket demonstration area. It started in 1936. This photo that's on this first slide of my PowerPoint is actually the employees of the Federal Soil Conservation Service. They're measuring erosion in this furrow irrigated potato field in the Badger Pocket area here in the 1930s. So those demonstration projects, they happened all over the country, and they were limited to 5 years. And at the end of 5 years, if the farmers in these particular areas wanted to keep this level of assistance, they needed to form a conservation district. And so that is the genesis of our conservation district. If you want to know more about the Dust Bowl era and really our history as a conservation district, also I have two recommendations. Number one, The Worst Hard Time, written by Timothy Egan. If you haven't read that, you should. It's a great book about that whole era. And then also there was a Ken Burns film called The Dust Bowl. Would also highly recommend that one. So what exactly is a conservation district? Well, during this Dust Bowl era, President Roosevelt recommended a Standard Soil Conservation District Act be signed into law by all states. It was a standard act that was sent out to all of the states with this recommendation from the president. Our state passed it in 1939. It is RCW 8908. It established the Washington State Conservation Commission and the process for forming conservation districts. So each district, and we have 45 of them in our state right now, each district has a board of supervisors. They're made up of 3 locally elected members and 2 members who are appointed by the Conservation Commission. And there is a requirement in our RCW that 3 of the 5 members of the board of supervisors be landowners or land operators, and their terms are 3 years. So within this law that came out, and this is the same again nationwide that went out to all the states, there's this section 8908-220 called Corporate Status and Powers of Conservation Districts, and it has 14 individual items, and this is a very brief summary of them. It's quite a bit longer if you actually read it. But it goes through all of the things that a conservation district can do. So we can do research, which we do. Our conservation district has done water quality sampling in our streams, all kinds of other research, surveys, investigations to determine what the needs are in our county. We can conduct educational and demonstration projects on any lands with the consent of the landowner. We can actually carry out works of improvement, and we can also enter into agreements with landowners to provide financial incentives. And these 2 items go right back to what Katherine was talking about in her introduction and the work that we did with her and her husband on her property that we helped to facilitate. And so, Katherine, if you want to talk just a little bit about the work that was done on your property, that would be great.
Okay, that's great. Thanks so much, Anna. And when we moved here, we realized that the bank along the Yakima River had very few trees on it. And we know from past history that it's important for trees to be on the bank, not just for us to hold our land from eroding into the river, but also for fish habitat and water retention in the soil. And so one of the things that we wanted to do when we moved here is to plant trees so that we could hold the bank. My sister-in-law has been in the what's called the Soil Conservation Service for 35 years. So she said, I know that is help out there. And so we reached out to KCCD and asked if they could come out and take a look at our property and see what we might do in order to plant trees. And I have a really short video that I'm going to share my screen to show that shows looking across the Yakima River at our bank. So you can see how it's eroded. And this is looking across the Yakima River at our bank. And you can see that there are some cottonwood trees there, but mostly they're very mature cottonwood trees, and they're not replenishing themselves. So one of the important things to do is to plant those places. And so that's what we wanted to do. What happened then is they sent out a 5-person team, which was great, including a botanist and a project manager and people who understood engineering, and went off and recommended that we get in touch with Mid-Columbia Fisheries Group to perhaps create a grant request. And that was great. And I think you're going to talk about the grants in a minute, Anna, aren't you? So I can say what happened after that part.